Hi guys, Josh here, and in today's video, I'd like to discuss a very underrated series, the Summer Vacation games. So on the Switch, we have Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey, Shin-chan, Shiro and the Cold Town, and Natsumon, 20th Century Summer Kid. A lot of people have never heard of these games, and if they did, they might be wondering what the gameplay is like, what are the differences between each entry, and where to start. So I'll do my best to answer all of these questions today. If it helps, leave a like on the video and let's get started. First, we need to go over what this series is. So in the early 2000s, there was a Japanese series called Boku no Natsuyasumi, literally meaning My Summer Vacation. There were 4 games, all released on PlayStation consoles, but never outside of Japan. The main premise in this game is that you play as a kid that goes to the Japanese countryside during summer vacation, usually for 31 days, and you go through a main story but also get to complete side quests, catch bugs, fish, and pretty much spend your time however you'd like. This series is known for its pre-rendered environments, where each area has a unique camera angle, making for very beautiful sceneries of the Japanese countryside. Now, the main series of Boku no Natsuyasumi games has stopped, unfortunately, but the developer Millennium Kitchen has continued making games with a similar premise and gameplay loop. They're all on Switch, Steam, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation is also on PS4, and they're all available worldwide. In this video, I'll be focusing on the differences between each entry, but they all share the same core mechanics. During the day, you can do pretty much anything you'd like. At night, you get called to have dinner with your family, and after dinner, you can roam around, but not too far, and then you go to bed, start the next day. All of the games have settings that allow you to adjust how long one day is, so they can all appeal to players who want either a very slow-paced, relaxed style, as well as players who prefer a faster-paced experience and want to try to achieve as much as possible as quickly as possible. So the first game is Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey. That is quite a title. And right here I have the physical Japanese version, but keep in mind, this game, the Japanese physical only has a Japanese on it. There's also an Asian version, but the Asian version also does not have English. If you want the English version, it was released by Limited Run Games, so it exists, it is out there, and I think it's not too expensive, but it might become a bit more difficult to find nowadays. But of course, also you can buy it on the Nintendo eShop like all of these games. And you might be wondering, who is Shin-chan in the first place? Well, Shin-chan is a kid from a very popular Japanese manga and anime series. Personally, I grew up in Canada without being exposed to that too much, so I went into the game with no attachment or knowledge to Shin-chan. I'm sure that if you're a fan of Shin-chan, you will get some references or you'll be happy to recognize certain characters, but it is a standalone story, so it's not necessary. Shin-chan is a 5-year-old, he's a bit silly and he mishears a lot of words, so the game has a lot of that kind of humor where Shin-chan hears the wrong thing, and overall, the story is pretty fun and lighthearted. You go to the countryside with your family for what's supposed to be a week, and then dinosaurs start appearing in the village, so you investigate what's happening. The plot is divided over 19 days, so almost every single day there will be a new story-related event or cutscene, and that makes it probably the most story-heavy of the 3 games, but also quite short as I finished it in under 6 hours. Now, if you're worried about the time limit, you should note that after the 19 days, you can do a New Game Plus, where you'll keep your encyclopedia with all of the bugs and fish you caught, the objectives and stories you completed will be recorded as well, you will have your money, but you will have to go through the story and all the same dialogues over again. Honestly though, by the end, I had enough of the game. I felt like a lot of the side activities were not that rewarding, like you would receive money, but there wasn't much to do with that money besides buying snacks. And you need to eat constantly in this game, otherwise you pass out and lose time out of your day. But those snacks were the only incentive, and I wish there were more things to spend your money on and just more activities to do. One of the activities in this game is the dinosaur battles. They are pretty much a series of rock, paper, scissors with a few additions. They are fun at first, but they do get old quite fast. Another little gripe I had with this game is just how I got lost so many times. The world is beautiful, but I found the layout a bit confusing, and I could never remember how to get to certain places. There is also a very short starter or loading time between each area that can get annoying, and if you get too close to a dinosaur while you're walking around, the screen fades, you're teleported away from the dinosaur, and then there's a line of dialogue. And as I'm explaining it, it probably doesn't sound like much, but when it happens all of the time, it is tedious. You can also only save at night in this game, whereas the other two let you save at any time, so that's also something you might want to consider. Overall, I would say I had a fun time with me and the professor on summer vacation, but unless you absolutely want to play all of the games in this video, I would say the other two are much better. Next, we have Shin-chan, Shiro, and the Cold Town. I do not have any physical version of this game, and two physical versions actually exist. So there's the Japanese one, once again, that's only in Japanese, and there's an Asian version, and this time the Asian version does have English on it. So if you want, you can look up for the Asian physical version, but this time for Europe and North America, it's only being released digitally. With this game, you can tell that they spent a lot less time on the title and more on the content. Once again, you play as Shin-chan and you go to the Japanese countryside with your family, but this time you board a mysterious train that brings you to a cold town that seems to be stuck in time. So throughout this game, you will be spending pretty much half of your time in the beautiful Japanese countryside, same as usual, catching bugs, fishing, hanging out with your family. And the other half of your time will be spent in the cold town that looks a lot grimmer, mysterious, and the core of the story will be taking place in the cold town, and I just love the contrast between these two environments. One thing to note with this game is that it is the same publisher as the previous Shin-chan game, but it is a different developer, so it is not developed by Millennium Kitchen, so there are a few differences in the gameplay. Most notably, there's no day limit. You still have the day and night cycle as usual, but days are not counted, so you can truly progress at your own pace. I think I will 100% this game. I am over the 10-hour mark right now, very close to the end of the story, and I'm just missing one bug and a few objectives to complete. Personally, I found it so much more satisfying than me and the professor on summer vacation. The map is less confusing, there's no delay while moving between areas, the controls and everything feel a lot snappier and responsive, and there's just so much more to do and collect. More side quests, more things to buy with your money. I found myself always making progress and wanting to play more, just one more day to reach my next goal. Instead of dinosaur battles here, we have something a lot more interesting, trolley races. You're on rails with a minecart or trolley and you're racing against your opponent trying to get more points than them. As you progress, you can buy new upgrades for your vehicles that will make you go faster, let you take turns at higher speed, launch missiles at your opponent, and there is a good variety of tracks. These are so much more fun than the dinosaur battles, and you will have to work in order to get all of the items and money required to purchase all of the upgrades. So if you want a summer vacation game where you get to play as Shin-chan, I would recommend Shiro and the Cold Town, as it is better in almost every single way. Lastly, we have Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid. I have the Japanese version right here, but unfortunately this game has no English physical release, so both the Japanese and Asian version do not have English, so you're gonna have to play this one digitally. In this game, you play as Natsumon, a brand new original character this time, and you go to a small town because your parents are working for the circus that's over there. After a few days, your parents and some other people from the troupe disappear, and you gotta figure out what's happening. Even though this one does not take place in the Shin-chan universe, I would say that all of the three games in today's video have a very similar vibe and humor to them, so they're all pretty much on par in terms of dialogue and story. Interestingly, this game was developed by both Millennium Kitchen, the original developers of the Boku no Natsuyasumi series, in collaboration with Toybox. If you're not familiar with Toybox, it is the studio founded by Yasuhiro Wada, the creator of the Harvest Moon series, who also afterwards made games like Little Dragon's Cafe. For this reason, this game is quite different than the previous two, and it takes the series in a new direction. Instead of pre-rendered areas, you're in a large open world where you have total control of the camera and you can go anywhere. You can climb, you can swim, there are two villages, a huge mountain, forest, beaches. The focus here is really on the exploration. That does come at a cost, however, because not only are the environments not as unique or gorgeous, but also the performance is suffering. I played this game on the Switch, and while it's not unplayable, and I'm not someone who's typically very picky on performance, but I was constantly feeling like the frame rate was a bit too low, and as a result, the experience was a bit sluggish. Some of the mechanics, for example the fishing, also felt a bit slower and tedious compared to the previous games, and I often found it faster to just jump into the water and grab the fish by hand instead of using the fishing rod, which is something you can do and it is nice, but I wish the actual fishing felt a bit more satisfying. That being said, the game has a more diverse gameplay. There's a lot of exploration, climbing, you have a slingshot used to shoot certain things, there are more items to collect, things to discover. side stories, there's a good variety, and it will keep you busy for longer. I am still working on this one, but I think it should bring you closer to the 15 to 20 hour mark, maybe even a little bit more. And there is a limit of 31 days, but once again, there is a new game plus that allows you to keep most of your progress. Just like in Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, however, on your new game plus, you will have to go through the story again. But the story events are a little bit more spread out in this game, whereas in Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, it was pretty much every single day there was something happening with the story. So I feel like the new game plus will be more enjoyable in Natsumon, where you'll get to focus a bit more on the gameplay. So Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid is a bit of a departure from the rest of the series. If you want something a bit different, if you like open worlds, and just you're looking for more content, I think it can be a great one. Unfortunately, the performance is not the best, especially on the Switch. I've not played the Steam version, so I can't really vouch for it, but I wish it ran a little bit better on the Switch. So to summarize, all three of these games are good if you want to experience summer as a kid in the Japanese countryside, do some fishing, bug catching, all while following a fun, lighthearted story. If you're either a fan of dinosaurs, or you want to challenge yourself to complete a game in 19 days, or maybe you're just looking for something a bit shorter, then you could go for Shin-chan, Me and the Professor on Summer Vacation, The Endless 7-Day Journey, but honestly, it's not my favorite. I think that Shin-chan, Shiro and the Cold Town improves on that game in pretty much every single way. It has more content, no time limit, which could be a bad or a good thing depending on your preference. But overall, it felt so much more fun, and once I started playing this game, I couldn't stop. It is so addictive because you're always making progress. It's very satisfying, so if I had any game out of these three to recommend, like my favorite would be this one, Shin-chan, Shiro and the Cold Town. But if you're looking for an even bigger adventure, you love open worlds, and you don't mind that the performance is not the smoothest, then you might be enjoying Natsumon 20th Century Summer Kid. This one, I think I would place top 2 in today's list. And that is pretty much it. All of these games are so unique and interesting. I feel like this series is so underrated. So let me know if you've played any of these games. Which one did you like? Which one did you not like? If you're brand new to this series, I hope this video was helpful in deciding where to start. And lastly, if you're looking for more videos similar to this one, I do have a video comparing all of the Story of Seasons games available on the Switch. I also have a video comparing all of the Rune Factory games available on the Switch, so I will link those in the description. Feel free to check them out. Leave a like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.